Hi, this is Jay with JLT, and today we've got this beautiful Leadfoot Gray 2018 GT350 strapped down to the Dyno Jet, and we're going to go ahead and do some baseline runs with the stock airbox, swap it out to the new JLT no tune required intake, and see what kind of power we can make. Something I like to discuss with all my dyno videos is hood up, hood down dyno testing. Guaranteed somebody's going to say, we don't drive with our hood up, you should do it with the hood down. The problem is these dyno fans, and this goes with every dyno shop, unless it's a dyno cell for like a NASCAR shop, this is not going to simulate the speeds we're going to hit while standing still. Average dyno run in this car is going to be 50 to 150 miles an hour, and these can't simulate that airflow. This is just enough airflow to cross the radiator and make sure the coolant temps stay at a normal temperature so we can make continuous runs, but not to simulate that kind of airflow. Thankfully, with these new cars, we've got inlet air temp gauges on the dash, and we can see that at those speeds, the inlet air temps are about ambient temperature. So hood up is going to be the only way that we're going to do it. It's the only way to get an apples to apples comparison. You're doing it with the stock box, you're doing it with the JLT. It's the best way to do it. To do with all our testing is we use HB Tuners data logging software, plug into the computer, and now we can monitor coolant temps, we can monitor spark tables, see if the vehicle is adding spark or taking away spark, and we also want to make sure that each run is done at the same coolant temperature. We want to make sure that when we run the stock box, we run it at, this one's going to be about 190 to 195 degrees coolant temp, and when we run it with the JLT, we run it at the same coolant temp. And then we analyze the spark tables and make sure everything's the same so that the gains are a direct result of swapping the intake. That's just one of the things that you really need to do. You can't just run to your dyno shop, do 3 pulls, swap out a product, and see what kind of gains. You really got to know what you're doing. All right, so let's go over the results. So this is a 2018 GT350. It's got about 26,000 miles on it. When it came in, it had a very dirty air filter in it. And while some intake companies might want to compare against a dirty filter, we didn't. We took a brand new filter, brand new Ford OEM filter, and put it on the car. Made our runs. 1, 2, and 3. And it made basically what it should, right in that 450 range. All right, so let's go ahead and remove these. We swapped out for the JLT, let it cool, made 3 runs, and as you can see, the numbers look a little higher. So let's go ahead and compare. And what we're going to do, again, which a lot of companies won't, we're going to compare against the best stock versus the best JLT. We kind of had 2 really good JLT runs. We're going to bring them both up and kind of compare. So peak numbers, you know, not huge, 454 to 459 and 462, but where this is important is, and this is what we saw with the tune intake as well, a lot of the power was gained from the tune itself, but we noticed in the higher RPMs that the intake started to gain more power over the factory GT350 airbox, and we're seeing the same thing here, but with no tune. So 5,400 RPM, we're seeing a 5 horsepower and 5 torque gain. That's when we're starting to really gain some ground. 6,200, you're looking at 11 to 14 horsepower and torque gain. 7,800, we're still gaining power all the way from 54 up. We're gaining power. 7,800, you're looking at 5 to as high as 13 on that fantastic run, but even backed it up with 5 on the run directly thereafter. So that's even heated up. It picked up 5. So just like we did with the intake and tune package, the intake itself picks up anywhere from 8 to 10. And we're comfortable with the same thing with this. For the guys that don't want to tune, don't want to void their warranty, you can slap a JLT intake on it and pick up that 8 to 10, 8 to 12, and not worry about your warranty.